Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Get started in a second. All right, I'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Regina Mincy, and we're going to begin the Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals have been recently arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon thereafter, or after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused the cases of the offenses brought against them, and the cases have been bound over to the Fulton County State Court. Nevertheless, there will be some of these cases will be the defendant's first or initial appearance before a state court judge. So we're going to address several matters, including bond, possible arraignment, and/or consideration of any possible plea offers if one has been made by the state at this juncture. I'm going to also be providing you with the reset date for arraignment if it is not held today. And Ms. Middlebrooks, what is our SAP reset date?
February 24th, 2022.
Okay, February 24th. All right, so we've got our SAP day. Also, I'm going to begin and advise everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube. So govern yourselves accordingly. And we had in the directions that if you are going to be speaking or if the court is indulging you to give a statement, that I must have your camera on, I must be able to see your face. And then I will swear you in if you're a witness before you begin to speak. Also, I want to remind the defendants on this calendar that you do have the constitutional right to remain silent, and anything that you say about the facts, occurrences, or circumstances surrounding your case can and will be used against you. You do have a right to an attorney representing you today. Most of you are aware and will see your attorneys on the screen, and use them accordingly and follow their instructions before you make any statements that may be against your interests, since the state is here and they are listening to you. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And where are we starting? South Annex?
Yes, Your Honor. Before you is Ms. Watkins, position 13.
All right, thank you. All right.
Your Honor, this is just so Your Honor knows, this is a cross-defendant case with position 12.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. You are Shamelia Watkins?
Yes.
Okay, and your case number is 22 CR 000697A. You're charged with one count of battery family violence with the offense date of February the 9th, 2022. Do we have anything pretrial?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. GCIC indicates no prior history. She does meet the criteria for UJR 3 pretrial.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, Ms. Mitchell.
Yes. In this case, defendant battered her daughter, Miss Melody Watkins, by striking her in the face and head, causing a laceration above her right eyebrow, a knot on the right side of her head, and bruises on her face. Miss Melody Watkins stated that the defendant got upset and struck her in the face when she corrected defendant on her whereabouts. Miss Melody Watkins stated she hit defendant back in self-defense when the defendant continuously struck her in the face and head. The defendant's boyfriend then pulled her hair to get her off of the defendant and punched her in the stomach. Miss Melody Watkins continued to state that the defendant then grabbed her by her hair and continuously rammed her head into the staircase. Miss Melody Watkins told officers that they were trying to kill her and that she was in fear. And due to the state's bond recommendation is going to be a $3,000 good bond, no further contact with the victim, cross defendant, in this case, Melody Watkins, a stay away from 2004. One moment, Your Honor. Let me make sure I'm not confusing this with the other case.
Okay.
Correction. That was for the daughter. The mother's bond recommendation is going to be a $3,000 good bond, a no further contact with Melody Watkins, a one-day anger awareness program, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. And it's due to the violent nature of the allegations on both parties, but right now we're just hearing the daughter's side. That's going to be the basis of our $3,000 good bond recommendation, Your Honor.
All right. So between Shamelia Watkins and my cross case with Melody Watkins, which is the mother and which is the daughter? Make sure I'm correct.
So the
My
mother,
client is,
yes, the defendant before you is the mother.
Okay.
So the facts that I just stated were facts that the daughter told officers. And in the daughter's case, I have the facts that the mother told officers.
Okay. All right. And I think we have Ms. McLeod, the conflict defender.
yes, Your Honor. My client is in her early 40s. She is the mother of two teenagers, a 16-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter, who is the cross defendant. My client is gainfully employed as a manager in a company around town. She has ties to the Atlanta area. The site of this incident was her home, where her daughter lives with her and her significant other and the son. The incident arose, Your Honor, when my client received a call from the police to let her know that her daughter had been caught shoplifting. Naturally, as any normal mother, she was very upset. And when she tried to speak to the cross defendant about this, the cross defendant became belligerent and actually came in my client's face, and she struck my client first. My client was just responding in self-defense. And that was how this altercation happened. In fact, her significant other was there, and he had to pull the cross defendant off of my client. I have spoken with my client, and of course, since the cross defendant is her daughter, she just wants no more violent contact. She doesn't mind if her daughter comes back in her home, given that she's just 17 years old, but she wants there to be no violent contact with her daughter. She does naturally want to go back to her home. It is her home. Your Honor, I think she's a suitable candidate for a signature bond because she has no prior history at all. And given that she's in her 40s, she is employed, gainfully employed. This has been very, very traumatic for her and for her significant other and for her son. She has been locked up since Wednesday, has had to miss time from her job and all of that, Your Honor. This is the first time she's appearing before a court for bond. So I'd like the court to take all of that into consideration, give her a signature bond with the only condition being that there be no vow and contact between herself and her daughter. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to grant a signature bond through pretrial in the amount of $3,000. I'm going to order that there be no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order the one-day anger awareness course. And I'm still a little torn about no further contact or no further violent contact, because I understand that the cross defendant is only 17 and resides with her. I want to make sure that there's not going to be any other incidents to occur, that there has been the cooling off period, so that both parties as victims are protected from each other. I'm going to say no further violent contact for the moment, and let me do the other case if we can, so that I can see whether I'm going to have both of these parties to continue to reside together to make sure that they're going to be safe. I'll say no further violent contact at this time. I won't do a stay away because I'm assuming this location, and it was 2004. What was the street address?
2404 Stone Road, East Point, Georgia.
2404 Stone Road. So I'm going to assume that that's Ms. Watkins' home. Is that correct, Ms.
It
McLeod?
is correct, Your Honor.
Yes. the
And she
state
lives
was-
there with her minor child, or other minor child, and her significant other.
Okay.
So it's a family home.
The state was going to request a stay away for the daughter. Ideally, we would have brought these cases together so it would have been clear what was going on.
Okay. All right. So we'll just say no further violent contact with the daughter cross defendant Melody Watkins at this point. And I'm not going to do the stay away. And just the $3,000 signature bond through pretrial for now. Is there anything else I need to take up?
No, Your
No.
Honor.
Okay. All right. That will.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Matter. Thank you.
Position number 4 is next, please.
All right. We're in courtroom 2.
Position number 4, please.
Okay, thank you. This is case number 22 CR 000-690C. Are you Christy Elsner?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're being charged with 1 count of discharging of a firearm on property of another, 2nd count of reckless conduct on February the 11th, 2022, which is the offense date. Do you have anything pretrial?
Your Honor, GCIC indicates 16 cycles. Last arrest, June of 2020 for battery in Clayton County. No disposition listed on that arrest. Record does reflect the defendant has 2 failure to appear, 3 violations of probation within the past 10 years. Misdemeanor convictions, 2013, theft by receiving stolen property in Clayton County, and a 2012 driving while license suspended. She has 2 felony convictions, both in 2015 for possession of methamphetamine. Nothing further to add.
All right. And is this Mr. Carr?
Yes, Your Honor, this is my case.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. So in this case, police were actually responding to a call that someone had been shot. Witnesses told police that a woman in a black or blue car got out of the car and started firing a gun. And this happened in a mobile home park, so around lots of other people. And then the witness drove away. The police did find shell casings at the location, and there was a witness who saw this shooting take place. They later identified a black car while police were there that was driving out of the entrance. They stopped it. The defendant was wearing clothing matching that description, and the witness was able to identify the defendant. Your Honor, we are still investigating this case, and we've kicked it back to our investigator to determine whether or not felony charges do need to be brought. But on top of that, and it does appear the defendant has an open battery family violence in the 2020 or in Clayton County. So, Your Honor, just because of the nature of this incident, we're asking for the reckless conduct for a $4,000 surety bond and a stay away from the incident location, 501 Connell Avenue, that's Connell, and for the discharging a firearm on the property of another, $2,000 surety bond. Oh, as well as no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
And so we technically don't have a particular victim in this case because it was just discharging the firearm somewhere around in that proximity.
That's what it appears. Yes. Yeah. But I mean, the call that came into police was that someone had been shot. There was no victim. They did find the casings. We're just trying to figure out where those shots were directed. It was in this mobile home park. So we're investigating kind of what's going on in this case.
Okay. All right. And looks like it's Mr. Vale. Your representative.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Eisner is 33 years old. She is an Atlanta native. She has very strong ties to the community. She has 5 children, and she is a full-time caregiver for them. The oldest is 6 of her 5 children. In this case, I would like to note that Ms. Eisner immediately cooperated with the police. She denied shooting. She consented to both make a statement and to allow a search of herself and her vehicle. No firearm was found. I think that she was misidentified. The one witness was only able to perform a show-up identification and provided a very vague description of Miss Eisner as someone wearing a gray hoodie and blue pants. So and again, Miss Eisner has maintained her innocence. So despite the seriousness of these charges, we would be asking for a signature bond.
Okay. I'm going to order a $5,000 surety bond, $3,000 on the firearm charge and $2,000 on the reckless conduct. There'll be no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I believe, Mr. Vale, if Miss Elsner, is that 501 Connell Avenue her address? Or
It is. That is her home.
Okay. And we don't know if anything occurred at that address, so I won't do a stay away from her location. Just no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while she's on bond. If she makes her bond, I would say stay away from the mobile home park in general, but I don't know, again, that this occurred at a particular spot or location. So if you make bond, Miss Elsner, just don't have any weapons while you're on bond. And I think that's all that I could safely do at this point, since I'm not for sure what happened and what occurred and exactly where. I won't make her stay away from her home just yet.
Thank you, Your Honor. And if I could just briefly note, I know the state is continuing to investigate. Ms. Elsner is, of course, still willing to cooperate, and I think may have some information that might be useful, as she does live in that area.
Okay. All right, Mr. Carr is shaking his head, so hopefully you all can talk and see what we need to do with this matter.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position number 1, please, Avery.
This is case number 22 CR 000687D. Is it Jamario Avery? You're being charged with 1 count of theft by taking with the offense date of January the 4th, 2021. Pre-trial, do you have anything?
Yes, Your Honor. GCIC indicates second arrest. First arrest was May of 2020 for simple battery in Atlanta. No disposition was listed in that arrest. He does meet the criteria for UJR through pretrial. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Carr?
Yes, Your Honor. So in this case, the defendant came to Mr. Ricardo Carmichael, the victim's house around 4 a.m. in the morning, telling the victim that he had been kicked out of his house and was cold, asking if he could stay the night. Mr. Carmichael doesn't know the defendant well. He knows his cousin. That's how he got the connection. So he allowed the defendant to stay the night. When the defendant woke up, the defendant was gone along with his Xbox and 3 controllers. Mr. Carmichael got in touch with the defendant, and the defendant demanded $500 from him to return his property to him. Mr. Carmichael agreed to this, and he brought $400. When the defendant noticed that it was 100 short, he grabbed the money and the Xbox and ran off. And another tenant in this case that was in the building told police that the defendant tried to sell him an Xbox earlier that same morning on January 4th. We've been in contact with the victim. He said that he's afraid of the defendant and his family, and he is requesting absolutely no contact with him. So for this case, we're asking for a $1,500 surety bond, no further contact with that victim, Ricardo Carmichael, last name Carmichael, a stay away from that incident location, 490 Glen Street Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Okay. All right, Mr. Vale.
Your Honor, Mr. Avery is 19 years old. He was born and raised here in Atlanta. He lives with his mother and currently owns a small clothing business that he operates out of the family home. He completed through the 10th grade of high school and then obtained his GED. We would have no objection to the no contact order, but we would be asking for a signature bond. I do not believe that Mr. Avery is a threat to anyone. As alleged, I think this at best is simply a financial dispute. Therefore, we would be asking for a signature bond.
Okay. All right, I will grant a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial. I will order that there be no further contact with the victim, Ricardo Carmichael. I'm going to order a stay away from the incident location, 490 Glen Street. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, Mr. Avery. And you're not to go back to that location. If you do, you'll be immediately arrested. And I think that's all I will do at this point. Anything else that I need to take up?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Position number 8, Mr. Mitchell, please.
All right, this is case number 22 CR 000693J. Mr. Johnny Mitchell Jr. Is that you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You charged at 1 count of driving while license suspended or revoked, and a 2nd count of operating without lights required by law. The offense date is February the 11th, 2022. Do you have anything pre-trial?
Yeah, on the 25 cycles. Last arrest, February of 2019 for a probation violation in Douglas County. Record does not reflect any open cases or probation. 1 failure to appear and 5 violations of probation within the past 10 years. Record did not indicate any misdemeanor convictions within the past 10 years.
All right. All right, Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Carr.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, we're asking for a $500 signature bond for the driving while license suspended, $500 signature for operating without lights. Yes.
All right. Mr. Sellers, is it? Or Mr.
Yes,
Bell?
please.
Sellers.
Yes, obviously no objection here, Your Honor.
Okay, correct. All right. All right, and Miss Harrison, does this need to be through the jail or through pretrial for a signature bond?
Your Honor, he didn't qualify with pretrial based on his probation violations, but I will take it per judge.
Well, I'll do the $1,000 signature bond through the jail. 500 on each charge. I'll just do it through the jail. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while you're on bond, Mr. Mitchell. And it looks like you should not be driving unless you get a temporary license or something from DDS. So be careful with that. I don't think you're able to drive, it appears. So no driving unless you have a license or permit from driver services. All right.
Your Honor, what was the total bond?
$1,000, 500 on each charge.
Position number 10, Mr. Thompson, please. No, this is the-
All right, this is case number 22 CR 000-698F, and you're Johnny Thompson,
Yes, ma'am.
being charged with 1 count of battery with the offense date of February the 11th, 2022. Pre-trial, do you have anything?
Your Honor, 22 cycles. Last arrest, August of 2019, for possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with intent to distribute in Fulton County. No disposition was listed on that arrest. Record indicates the defendant has a 2013 driving while license suspended and a 2001 willful obstruction. He has 2 felony convictions outside the 10-year period. Nothing further to add, Your Honor.
Okay.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Mitchell.
The defendant battered his girlfriend, Miss Shauna, spelled Shaunna, de Graffenried, spelled Degraphenreed, by punching her in the face and leaving her face swollen. It started when Miss Graffenried caught defendant cheating earlier in the day. The defendant later found her at her uncle's house, walked up to her car as she was about to leave, punched her in the face, snatched her keys out of the ignition, and threw them. The state's bond recommendation is going to be a $3,000 good bond, no further contact with Miss Shauna de Graffenried, a stay away from the uncle's home, 3266 Wheeler Street, Hateville, Georgia. 1-day anger awareness program, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. The state's concerns here is defendant's risk of reoffending. He does have a violent history that includes an ag assault conviction in 1997 and the following charges: a simple battery in 2003, a battery in 2002, another aggravated assault in 1997, and a simple battery in 1991. And the defendant also has an open case in 2019 where he's facing the felony drug charge as heard from pretrial. We also have concerns that the defendant is a flight risk. He has a FTA in 2004, a probation violation in 2003, and a parole violation in 1998. Nothing further, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, this is Advocate Calloway. And I briefly spoke to the victim. She called at 157. She said that she is afraid of the defendant and she wants him to stay away from her. And I asked her to send me her email address. However, she never sent me her email address to join the link today.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Calloway, for that information.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Sellers.
Yes, Your Honor. So we're asking for a signature bond for Mr. Thompson today. He's 51 years old. He's lived in Atlanta for his entire life. His whole family is here. He recently lost his job, but he was working at AutoCore in the warehouse. Right now, he lives at 955 North Central Avenue in Hapeville. That's where he would be returning. And in speaking with him, I think no contact with the alleged victim is obviously something that's going to have to be a part of the bond, given that given what victim services talked about, Your Honor. I do not think that he's a flight risk for an FTA that's 17 years old, and I don't think that he's a danger to the community based on violent charges, again, that were over 15 years old. Mr. Thompson is in his 50s. He spends his time taking care of his grandson and trying to find work. He disputes these charges, Your Honor, looks forward to working with our office and maintaining his innocence and fighting this case. But at the time, given his employment, he's not going to be able to afford anything more than a signature bond. I do have good contact information for him. I think all of the state's fears about any potential contact between him and the alleged victim could be served by the no further contact order, which if Mr. Thompson were to violate would expose him to potential felony charges. So I think Mr. Thompson understands that will not be having contact with the alleged victim in the case. But at this point, Your Honor, we'd be asking for a signature bond so he can return home, continue looking for work and work with our office in getting ready for his next court date.
All right. I'm going to order a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Shauna DeGraffenreid. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Stay away from the location of 3266 Wheeler Street in Hapeville. I'm going to also order the one-day anger awareness course. And of course, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond unless it is something that is prescribed to you. Mr. Thompson, do you understand that you are to stay away and to be have no contact and stay over 200 yards away from Miss Shauna DeGraffenreid, the victim in this case? Do you understand?
Yeah, I think he's muted, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Okay, so do not go around her, near her at all. Do not contact her via emails, via social media or anything of that nature. Do not contact third persons or family, friends, or relatives in order to have any contact with her, or else you will be rearrested again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That should conclude this matter.
Take care. Number 11, Mr. Wallace, please.
Huh? All right, this is case number 22 CR 0000695C. Is it Javante Wallace?
Yeah.
You're being charged with one count of battery family violence. The offense date is December the 4th, 2021. Do you have anything pretrial?
You're on a 28 cycles. Last arrest, April of 2021, battery in Fairburn, Georgia. Record does reflect the defendant has an open case pending for simple battery and criminal trespass in Fulton County, 21 CR 001872C. Record also indicates the defendant is currently on probation in Judge Dixon's court. I'm sorry, he's on probation in Gwinnett for theft by shoplifting, sentenced May of 2015, 4 years confinement and 6 years probation. Case number 06 B like boy 057314. Record indicates the defendant has 3 violations of probation, 1 failure to appear within the past 10 years. Misdemeanor convictions, he has a 2006 battery, 2 separate convictions in 2006 for battery, 2018 driving while license suspended, and he has a 2018 felony conviction for purchase, possession, and sale of marijuana. Nothing further to add.
All right, Mr. Sellers.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't know if you wanted, if the state was going to go first, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can go. Yeah.
I got it mixed up. Who is this? Miss Mitchell's case? I
Yes,
apologize.
Your Honor. On December 4th of 2021, the defendant battered Miss Maurisa, spelled Maurisa, Harris, by striking her on her head and in her face. Miss Harris suffered bruising on her chin, a laceration, and bruising and swelling to her right eye. The warrant states that Miss Harris and the defendant currently live together at that time. The state's bond recommendation is going to be a $5,000 good bond, no further contact with Miss Maurisa Harris, a stay away from address 1016 Howell Mill Road, Atlanta, Georgia, a one-day anger awareness course, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. The state's concerns here is defendant's risk of reoffending. He is a high risk of reoffending, as you've heard his history from pre-trial. Just to reiterate that, defendant is a convicted felon with a violent history. He currently has two open cases, and one is the simple battery family violence, criminal trespass family violence, and an added charge battery family violence from April of last year, where the defendant battered his ex-girlfriend he lived with at the time, and the other involves 5 gang-related felony charges from 2019. The defendant also has a simple battery and battery family violence conviction in 2006, and another battery conviction in 2006. On the other open battery family violence case, the defendant received a $3,000 good bond. The defendant is also a flight risk. He has 3 failure to appears and 6 probation violations on his record, and he has had his probation and first offender revoked. So that's going to be the basis of our recommendation, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Sellers.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wallace is 33 years old. He's lived in Atlanta here his entire life. His whole family is here. Currently, he works at UPS. He works every single weekday, about 40 hours a week in the packaging department. He does have a different address now from when I think this incident allegedly took place. He now lives at 960 Constitution Road. That's in Atlanta, Georgia, 30315. From what he tells me, I do not believe that him and the alleged victim live together anymore. So he does also have 3 children that do stay with him. Your Honor, we'd be asking for an affordable, reasonable bond today. I think a $1,000 surety bond would ensure that Mr. Wallace put up some sort of monetary surety that he will show back up to court. There are plenty of reasons why people fail to appear sometimes. A lot of times it's a notice issue. We do have updated contact information for Mr. Wallace. I do have a phone number for him. I don't anticipate that there be any issues from now for him missing court in any way. I don't believe him and the alleged victim are having contact anymore. I do know that this case was a little over 2 months ago, and it doesn't seem like anything has happened since then. He was obviously picked up for a warrant. I'm not sure if he knew that this warrant was out for him or not, but it is a case from December. So, Your Honor, we'd be asking for $1,000 surety bond to be something that Mr. Wallace would be able to afford so he can get out and get back to work by Monday. He does work every single day to get back to his life and work with our office further on this case.
And Your Honor, if I may, just to reiterate to the court, the defendant within a year, his last open case is a battery family violence case. And within a year, we're back here on another battery family violence case against another victim. On that case from last year, he did have a $3,000 good bond, which he was able to provide because he was released. So the state is going to continue request the $5,000 good bond on this case, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I'm going to order a $5,000 surety bond. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order that there be no further contact with Maurisa Harris. I'm going to order a stay away from 1016 Howell Mill Road location. And I think that will be it for the bond order. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Number 3 is next, please.
This is case number 22 CR 0000689A. Really Ray Dura.
Yes.
Okay, you're charged with 1 count of simple battery. The offense date is November 21st, 2020. What do you have pre-trial?
Your Honor, 14 cycles, last arrest, June of 2018 for willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and aggravated assault. That is an open case, 18 CP 176305. GCIC indicates an additional open case in Fulton County for government property, interference with government property and disorderly conduct, 15 CP 156766. Record indicates 1 violation of probation in 2011 and 1 failure to appear in 2018. A misdemeanor 2010 disorderly conduct. He has 3 felony convictions outside the 10-year period. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Carr.
Yes, Your Honor. So in this case, the defendant and Miss Shakita Walker, that's SHAKITA Walker, the victim got into an argument, started out verbal, the situation escalated, and the defendant punched Miss Walker in the face and then jumped on top of her, holding her down. Your Honor, the biggest concern the state has is this open aggravated assault case from 2018, as well as this open interference with governmental property and disorderly conduct. So he does have these 2 open cases that he's currently out on bond for, as well as he does have older, admittedly they are 1988, but old armed robbery and voluntary manslaughter cases that, he does have a violent past. So Your Honor, for this case, we are asking for a $4,000 surety bond, no further contact with that victim, Shakita Walker, a stay away from the incident location, 3727 Clovis Court Northwest, that's CLOVIS, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and a 1-day anger management class.
Your Honor, Bruce Vail for Mr. Dura. Mr. Dura is 51 years old. He was born and raised in Atlanta. He completed through the 11th grade of high school. He lives with his brother and his sister who suffers from Down syndrome. And he is, along with his brother, a primary caregiver for his sister. He currently works in the food service industry. I am not sure if she is on the line, but I spoke to Miss Shakita Walker this morning. She indicated that she has no problem with Mr. Dura and that he is no threat to her. She described their relationship as being good friends. So we would ask for no violent contact as opposed to no contact. We would also be requesting a signature bond. Mr. Dura does have some very substantial offenses. While he did have a violent record from the 80s, he has served his time for that and is a very different person now. And again, we would be asking for a signature bond.
And if I could just real quick, I mean, he does that violent past is in the past. He also, just to point out again, does have that open aggravated assault from just 2018. And as far as the contact with the victim, do understand if you have talked to her, but the state would just like to put on the record that we do have concerns because of the defendant's violent past about having contact until this thing is figured out.
Okay, so do I have a Miss Shakita Walker on the Zoom? I don't believe I do. Just making sure. Sound for her.
Yes, Your Honor, I wasn't able, I believe I left her a voice message. I texted her and also left a voice message. I wasn't able to get in contact with her this morning.
Okay, all right. I'm going to order the $4,000 surety bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order no further contact with the victim, Shakita Walker. And I'm going to order stay away from 3727 Clovis Court Northwest. Remember, Mr. Dora, you're not to go there and you're not to be around Ms. Walker in any manner once you make bond.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that should conclude this case.
You're not today.
I'm sorry.
Position number 5 is next, Judge.
Okay.
Marlo. Right here. No. Position number 5, Furtado. I almost said it.
All right, this is case number 22 CR 0000691J. Mr. Daniel Furtado. You're being charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting with the offense date of February the 7th, 2021. Pre-trial, do you have anything?
There are 16 cycles. Last arrest, December of 2021 for willful obstruction of officer, 2 counts. Fleeing or attempting to elude police officers, 2 counts. Given false name to officers in Gwinnett County. No disposition listed in that arrest. Record does indicate the defendant is currently on probation in Gwinnett County for attempting to elude police officers and driving while license suspended. Case number 21, D as in David, 05144, S as in Sam 3. Sentenced January of this year, 12 months probation. Misdemeanor convictions, 2012, obstruction of law enforcement officers. 2011, carrying weapon without a license, and a 2009 DUI. Felony convictions, record indicates 2 convictions in 2014 for habitual violator in Gwinnett County, and a 2017 conviction for fleeing or eluding police officers, possession of firearm by convicted felon, 6 counts, possession of firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of Schedule II controlled substance, 4 violations of probation within the past 10 years. Nothing further to add. Also, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Also, he appeared in first appearance where he received a $9,000 bond.
All right. Mr. Carr?
Yes, Your Honor. So in this case, straightforward case, the defendant stole $180 headphones from a T-Mobile store. Your Honor, the state's concern in this case is the open felony case that he has, as well as these recent probation violations and everything else in his record. So in this case, we are requesting a $1,000 surety bond. Stay away from that incident location. It's 5250 Windward Parkway, Suite 118 in Milton, Georgia, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
And that's the location of the store?
Yes, Your Honor, that's the T-Mobile store.
All right, Mr. Vale?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Furtado is 31 years old. He is a Georgia native. He has an associate's degree from Gwinnett Tech in automotive technology, and he currently operates a landscaping business. However, he has recently suffered a number of business setbacks. He is also engaged, and he and his fiance are expecting their first child. Because of his dire financial situation, he would not be able to afford anything other than a signature bond. So given his very strong ties to the community, we would be asking for that.
Okay, I'm going to order a $3,000 surety bond. I'm going to order a stay away from 5250 Windward Parkway, Suite 118, which is the T-Mobile store. I'm gonna order that there be no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I think that's all that I need to take up. Anything else?
Nothing further from the state.
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position number 9, Mrs. Tally is next, please.
All right, this is case number 22 CR 0000694J. Mr. Is it Elmas Tally? Okay, you're being charged with 1 count of criminal trespass with the offense date of February the 11th, 2022. Do you have anything pre-trial?
Your Honor, 19 cycles. Last arrest October of 2021 for criminal trespass in Fulton County. No disposition was listed on that arrest. Record does reflect an open probation in Fulton County for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Case 10 SC 95381, sentenced March of 2011 with 19 years probation. Record also reflects a 2017 felony conviction for purchase, possession, and sale of marijuana and a 2019 criminal trespass in DeKalb. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, Your Honor. Yesterday about midnight, defendant refused to leave Blake's on the Park Bar and Lounge located on 227 10th Street Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia. The general manager of the bar told defendant to leave and defendant refused. There's also video footage of defendant pushing the security guard at the front door. The defendant also threw a rock on the glass window of the bar. The defendant was arrested on October 14, 2021 for the same offense at the same location. There is a current $2,000 good bond on this case, and the state's bond recommendation is going to be that the bond remains the same in addition to the stay away from the Blake's on the Park Bar and Lounge and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. The state's concern in this case is defendant's risk of reoffending. As stated, defendant has already criminally trespassed at this same location 4 months ago, a charge where he was initially given a $1,500 good bond that was amended to $750 good bond, and that he later pled guilty to. Defendant is also a convicted felon. He has a total of 3 criminal trespass convictions, including the one previously discussed. Furthermore, by his criminal trespass yesterday, the defendant violated his probation from an aggravated assault in 2010, making it a total of 5 probation violations on his record. The defendant may also be a flight risk. He does have 2 failure to appears in 2006. So for those reasons, this is our recommendation, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Sellers.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Talley lives at 229 Ponce de Leon Avenue in Unit 5. He does have a roommate there. He's been in Atlanta for his entire life. He's a handyman that does odd jobs, been doing it for about 10 years. His whole family lives here in Atlanta. He's not married, has no kids. He's not leaving Atlanta anytime soon. He will be returning home once he's released from the jail. Your Honor, in this case, it's a criminal trespass. I haven't seen any video as to the allegations that the state has alleged. We're asking for a signature bond, stay away from the bar. If probation ends up having a revocation hearing for him, that's up to felony probation if they want to do that. But I don't think this is a charge that the Fulton County Jail is really used for. If he goes back to the Blake's place while out on bond, obviously he'd be rearrested and taken back. But Your Honor, he obviously disputes these allegations, but even just outside of it, things happen at bars constantly. I haven't seen any video in this case, but just stay away from the location. Don't go back there. He's obviously not welcome there. I don't know why he'd want to go there, given that they call the police on him. We're asking for a signature bond and leave everything else up to Superior Court probation.
And Your Honor, if I may, it states in the warrant that the general manager actually showed the video footage to the officers, so the officers were able to see it. The defendant pushed the security guard. And again, just to reiterate, he did go back to this bar. He criminally trespassed here last year, well, 4 months ago, and he's back here again. The general manager stated that he really wanted, well, stated in the warrant that he wanted to move forward with prosecuting him in this case. So nothing further, Your Honor.
And that's fine, Judge. I mean, the case is already being held for prosecution. He's going to have a court date for the case. So then maybe defense counsel will get to see the video. But at this point, you know, it's simply hearsay allegations in a police report.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to order a $2,000 good bond. I'm going to order that you stay away from Blake's on the Park. Is that 210 10th Street? And do not
No,
return.
Your Honor, it's
Oh.
227 10th Street.
Oh, 227 10th Street.
Yes, I believe the other address was where the defendant lives.
Oh, okay. I may have gotten those mixed up. Sorry about that. But Mr. Talley, you need to stay away from Blake's on the Pub and do not go back there, else you will be rearrested or arrested again. So I want you to stay away from there.
I don't go there. Them folks using my name every night, come on, program, gay sex. They been caught in the neighborhood. The neighbors been telling the call.
Mr. Talley, at this point, just there's no reason to speak right now. Just anything you say in court's going to be used against you. All right. I think the judge has made her decision on the bond. Okay.
So it's a $2,000 good bond. Stay away from Blake's on the Park. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while you're on bond. Okay. All right.
Position number 6 will be MH reset, please. Position number 14 will be medical reset quarantine. You should be able to go to Union City now. I'm done with courtroom 2. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Alex Griffin, case number 22 CR 000683B, correct? Oh, hold on.
No, position number.
Go ahead, Deputy. I got that mixed up.
Okay. He's gonna be MH reset, position number 6, and then 14 is medical reset quarantine.
That's what I missed from you. I had the other one. I missed 6. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
This is the South Annex, and I have before you position number 12, Miss Melody Watkins.
All right. This is case number 22 CR 000696A. Miss Melody Watkins, you're charged with 1 count of battery family violence with the offense date of February the 9th, 2022. Do you have anything pre-trial?
Your Honor, just as it indicates no prior history. If granted, a UJR, she will require an adult co-signer.
Okay. All right, Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, Your Honor. So right now we have cross defendant, we have the daughter before us. So the defendant in this case, the daughter, battered her mother, Miss Shamilia Watkins, by punching her in the mouth, causing a laceration on her top lip. It started when they were arguing about the daughter being detained in Walmart for shoplifting. The daughter began cursing at her mother and stated that she was, quote, tired of her shit. Miss Shamilia Watkins stated that the daughter got in her face, pushed her, and punched her in the mouth. And then the daughter got on top of her and continuously struck her. That's when Miss Shamilia Watkins' boyfriend, Mr. Larry Harrell, intervened. Mr. Harrell stated that the defendant called her mother a, quote, bitch while she was being disciplined, and that he grabbed defendant by the hair to get her off of her mother. So the state's bond recommendation in this case is going to be a $3,000 good bond, no further contact with Shamilia Watkins. Stay away from the address 2404 Stone Road. That's the mother's home. 1-day anger awareness course, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Sellers.
Judge, we're obviously going to ask for the same bond that that her mother, Shamilia Watkins, got. That's where Melody lives, so she would be having to stay away from her own home. Would probably be difficult. She is only 17 years old. She works at, or she doesn't. She was working at McDonald's on Cleveland Avenue. She goes to Tri-Cities High School. She's just a junior there. Obviously, her mother was on earlier in these proceedings. She received a $3,000 signature bond. Your Honor, we'd be asking for the same for Melody at this point.
I guess my concern, Mr. Sellers, is that she's going to need someone to sign her bond.
Mm-hmm.
And who might that be?
Well, I think that there was no further violent contact between her and her mother. If her mother gets out on a signature bond and wants to sign her daughter out as well, I think that's fine, given if they have no further violent contact with each other. I mean, pretrial is here, so I don't know if they would accept a signature from someone who is a co-defendant. But she does have a brother and sister who also live in Atlanta that I believe are of adult age also. I know their names are Ariana and Angel. I do not have their phone numbers. Melody couldn't provide them to me because she doesn't have her cell phone on her right now within the jail.
Miss
Her
Harris?
mom can't be her co-signer, Judge.
Right, I was thinking you were going to say that because I haven't heard of that to be the case. Can you ask your client, Mr. Sellers, if one of her older siblings, does she think would be able to sign her bond?
The person has to be 25 or older.
And do we know their ages? Or would
I
you
don't.
allow her to tell us that?
I would allow her to tell us how old her brother and sister are.
All right. Miss Watkins? Can you hear me?
Yes,
How old are your older siblings?
20 and 18.
I'm sorry?
20 and
Not
18.
old enough.
They're not old enough. Wow. Do you have any other relatives in town? Aunts, uncles, grandmother?
I have an uncle, Dion Harrell.
Do you have a contact number?
No.
Do you know how old your uncle is?
At least 37.
Oh, okay. Do you think he would sign your bond?
Yes.
Can you go stay with your uncle?
I think so. I don't know.
I'm just trying to make sure that you and your mom have calmed down from this incident, and that you've calmed down as well, because I don't want to put you all back in the home together and we have some more incidents. So that's what I'm concerned about. But I'm also concerned with your age and that you have somewhere to go stay. So your older siblings, the ones that are 20 and 18, they don't live at home?
No, they have their own apartment.
Mr. Sellers, I'm slightly torn. I will grant her a signature bond if she can somehow. Is there any way social services can go visit with her so that they can try to get these numbers or the information from this Uncle Dion Harrell, who seems to meet the age qualification? I don't know if they're able to get her phone or help to locate him. to get his number to call him.
Judge, is it possible to speak with the mom and see if she have any information regarding that?
I was gonna ask Miss Watkins, is Dion Harrell your mother's brother?
No, it's my mother's boyfriend's brother.
Your mother's boyfriend's brother. Okay. Or can you give Mr. Sellers the number to your mother's boyfriend so that then do you know that by heart or without having your phone?
Your Honor, I don't know if she would feel comfortable doing that, being that in the warrant it states the boyfriend was the one that
He
interviewed.
was the witness. Yeah, he was another witness in the incident.
Yeah, he's the one that pulled her off of her mother, so.
Mr. Sellers, let's see what else we can do here.
If the court would like, Your Honor, I can contact Mr. Harrell and see if he will provide the uncle's number.
Okay. Is it okay, you think, if Ms. McLeod can do that, Mr. Sellers?
That's fine, Judge. I'm always willing to call people. I just, I think Melody without her phone, it's hard for her to give me any contact information of people to call. So I'm kind of in the dark here.
Yeah, well, it would be hard for me as well, I tell you, because we don't remember numbers anymore. But if Ms. McLeod can assist us, that would help, because I am concerned that she is only 17, but I'm also concerned about the whole situation and making sure that she is safe, that the mother is safe. Certainly don't want to,
yeah,
I would try to contact him, Your Honor, to see if he has the uncle's number.
And if I do remember, I know Miss McLeod is here, but from what I remember from the first hearing, that her mother was wanting them both to return home and just have no further violent contact. I know Miss McLeod was the one advocating for that, so she may be able to speak better to that if she remembers, but that was what I remembered hearing from the first hearing today.
right.
Yes, that was what Mom had told me, Your Honor, but I'm going to try to see if we can get a number for the uncle.
Okay, because the mom can't sign the bond, I'm going to go ahead and grant Ms. Watt a $3,000.
I apologize, but is it possible we can have a blood relative?
Miss Watkins, do you have any other blood relative, someone who's not kin to your mother's boyfriend? Do you have any on your mother's side? Any relatives here in Georgia on your mom's side?
Your Honor, I think that's going to be a bit difficult because my understanding is that they're originally from Nebraska and have been in the Atlanta area maybe 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, you're originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Do you have any other blood relatives on your mother's side in Georgia?
No, ma'am. No.
Wow. Haven't had this situation to come up. But I will do the signature bond as long as we can get in contact with the relative. I guess at the jail, they will stay there until someone comes to sign them out. And someone, with sufficient qualifications. Do they then contact you, Ms. Harrison, when the person shows up to see about that?
Your Honor, I'm not comfortable taking this signature bond, this release.
I'm sorry.
Pretrial is not comfortable taking this release in this manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a little tight, sticky situation here. And
we don't have any contact numbers. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
Maybe someone can have a conversation with her mom since she's also in custody, and maybe she can offer some suggestions, but
yeah,
she's only 17.
Right. So what I will do is, if you can help us, Ms. McLeod, and talk to Mr. Sellers, to find out what the mom knows, if you all can get to her this afternoon, and before she bonds out, and get a blood relative. And I hate putting that in there like that in the bond. And I hate putting it in there if there is no other blood relative. But I know that pretrial is not comfortable. I'm not necessarily comfortable either with her signing her own bond, which she can't do even through the jail, I believe, because of her age. And I believe even those bonds through the jail, you still have to at least be 18. When will you be 18, Miss Watkins?
May 18th of this year.
Say that again.
May 18th of this year.
Oh, until May. Okay. But you're still in the 11th grade, right?
Yes,
Okay, so you won't graduate until next year.
correct.
Okay. Well, I am concerned about the allegations, and I am concerned about your welfare as well. And that, you know, there needs to definitely be some cooling off periods between, you know, you and your mom. And I want to make sure that I'm not putting you back in a volatile situation, and that you all will be able to not have any violent contact if you were allowed to go home. But I'd rather you stay somewhere else for a little bit to make sure that things are going to be okay. You understand the situation that I'm in as the judge?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to grant a $3,000 signature bond. And it's going to be per judge through pretrial. And it has to be a responsible adult. I want to put a qualifier of a relative, but I don't want to have her held any longer if they're not a relative. I don't like putting pretrial in this situation, you know, having to somewhat judge or determine if it's going to be okay. Because if I also order a stay away from her home on Stone Road, whoever signs that bond will just about have to be responsible for allowing this defendant to stay with them. And, you know, I may need to get some direction on this real quick, and let us recess for a second to make sure what I can do within my bounds as a judge as well with this, because I don't want her to remain incarcerated either due to her age as well.
One other thing, we still need a contact number.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we have a name, not a number, obviously she'll have to have that in order for that person to sign her out. I know when they show up with their ID, utility bill, things of that nature, all those requirements will still be there. And I know you like to have the number ahead of time, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get you that number. And if Ms. McLeod can email that number back as soon as she gets it. You have Ms. Harrison's email as well as the court's email, and giving us that information as soon as you get that so that they can add that to their documentation.
You know, and I spoke with Mr. Harrell, and he informs me that his brother is not inclined to sign because the family doesn't want to do that. You know, they're pretty upset about what happened, and they don't want to do that.
Can you all give me about 5 minutes? I want to recess and get some direction, and I'll come right back before making my final ruling.
Yep.
Okay. Let's recess for about 5 minutes and I'll come back.
Did you leave the toilet tissue in the bathroom? Where's the penis? Is there somebody else I can speak to about this case? Because everything that they said was a lie. They did not.
That we can hear her talking.
All right, we're back on the record. All right, thank you all for waiting. This is going to be a little bit difficult for me to do, but I have to do what I can within the bounds of the law at this point. I'm going to have to, Ms. Watkins, change your bond to a surety bond until we can determine what can be done. If Ms. McLeod and Mr. Sellers can get some information to me or either of my other cohort JOs, will sign and change it back to a signature bond once we have an adequate relative or person that will pass muster of pretrial. But right now I'm going to have to do, what I'll do is $1,000 surety bond.
Well, Judge, could I ask if she's able to do, if she got a bond through the jail, would it require her to have a signer?
I think so.
Pretrial requires a co-signer. The jail has nothing to do with pretrial.
Jail
But
doesn't require
that's up to the
cosigner.
judge.
Hold on, Ms. Glover.
Jail doesn't require cosigner.
The problem is who's going to get her out and take her home, and then what's going to happen?
Well, it seems like her mother was okay with a no further violent contact from what she said in the hearing earlier.
That's correct, Your Honor. The mom was okay with no further violent contact. I mean, it is her daughter, so naturally, even though she was upset about what she did, it's still her daughter.
Does the state have anything to say about that?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, if I do $1,000 signature bond through the jail. And I'm going to order that one-day anger awareness course. Ms. Watkins, to get some information to take that in one day. You probably need more than a one-day anger awareness course, but I'll at least start out there. And I guess your mom can help you get some information on that. But I do want to tell you, Ms. Watkins, I am not as comfortable doing this at all. I don't like what the allegations are. I don't like what the police report says, and I don't like what happened either way on the part of you or your mom. And if everybody's blowing up and losing their cool, and the allegation in the police report is that you were arrested or charged with shoplifting. And so people care about you and are trying to raise you in a decent manner, to be a decent young lady, to be productive in society. And that's what we want. Don't want you in this criminal system, okay? So it's a real tight situation. I hope that I don't see you again, never hear from you again. That means you're doing well. Graduate from high school, get a job, get a career, and not have these issues again. You're going to have to control your temper if that's the case. There's a certain way that you should speak to adults. You know that, right? You can't cuss at adults. You can't call them out of their names, not even, friends. No, but certainly not adults. You're supposed to have the utmost respect for them regardless. And if not, you're going to be back down here again. So can you handle yourself appropriately by getting out with the signature bond? I think you're still muted.
Can you repeat the question?
If I allow you to get out by signing out yourself, and technically I really don't feel great about it. You're only 17, you're not an adult yet, not quite. But did you hear what I said about what the allegations are as to your actions?
Can you repeat them, please?
What I said is I'm not comfortable with letting you out based on the allegations that I'm hearing in the police report. And there's some allegations, you hit your mother, she's got a laceration, you called her out her name. So I hope those things aren't true, because those are not the ways that you treat adults. Okay?
Yeah, that's what you said.
Excuse me. So when you get out, you will act accordingly and the way you should act, correct?
Yes.
Excuse me, so that you won't be back here.
No.
Okay. And I want you to take an anger awareness class, okay?
Yes.
Excuse me, so that you know how to channel any anger that you have. But I want you to graduate from high school and be a productive citizen, okay? Excuse me. All right. I want you to get yourself together and apologize. Do what you have to do to mend ways with your mother, because right now that's who you need. Okay, can you do that? Can you go back home and have no further violent contact? No blow up arguments with your mom or anybody else at the house?
I can't go back. I can't go back.
You can't apologize and go back and try to mend the fences?
I can't go back to that place.
Now I have a different problem.
I can apologize, yes, but I don't think I should go back to that household anymore.
Do we have any, Mr. Sellers, any situations with your social services that they could find placement for her?
I mean, I can try, Judge. I know that process is going to take.
I know, I was going to say, how long is that going to be? Yeah.
I mean, Miss Melody, at this point, the options, I mean, yeah, she advised me that she could stay with her brother and sister who are 20 and 18 and don't live at that address. The unfortunate thing, Judge, is I don't have an address for them because Melody doesn't know. She knows where they live, but she doesn't know the address. She knows their names, but she doesn't.
Can she give that? Yeah, can she, Melody, can you give as much information to someone from social services with the PD's office to be able to find or locate your brother and sister so that they can get in touch with them so that they can go there?
Yes.
So, you know, because they're going to have to come to the jail to, well, no, they won't be able to do that. But I feel uncomfortable letting her sign herself out and then aimlessly going around trying to get to them. You know what I mean? That sounds like unsafe. That sounds unsafe as well. I mean, if you were to get out today or tonight or tomorrow, Miss Watkins, how would you get to your brother and sister's place?
I don't know. I would try and take Martin, but I don't have no type of cash on me or anything.
Yeah, I just, you know, honestly, I don't want to put this person in such a situation because, you know, it's risky out there for her.
Judge, do you mind if I have a quick breakout with Melody so I can kind of explain to her the situation? And we can then come back.
Yes, and I'm going to make one other call as well. While you do that, let's take another 5 minute. Ms. Champion, can you put Mr. Sellers and his client in a breakout? And
yes, ma'am.
McLeod, do you want to be there or not, or do you want Ms. McLeod there?
I think I'm fine to just chat with.
Okay, just Mr. Sellers and the defendant. And I'm going to take another 5 minute. I'm getting a text back, so I'm going to reach out as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Read.
Are they still in, Ms. Champion? Looks like they are.
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Um, ready to rule and do that, and then we can reconcile. Thank you so much, Ms. Harrison. Sometimes we get those tight in between cases.
Yeah, no problem, Judge.
I sent the message to Mr. Sellers in the chat, Judge, to let him know you're ready.
Right. Oh, then I'm running out of patience. All right. Mr. Sellers? Oh, okay, there you go. You want to say anything?
So Judge, I mean, the situation we're in right now is that if Miss Watkins is able to get out on a signature bond through the jail, I guess our question is she going to be required to stay at her mother's house, or if she can find a better placement for herself, is she able to go there? And that would be, I think, from staying with her brother or sister. I have Miss Watkins' phone number. She said she can get in touch with me when she's released. We can provide that information to the court. But I think there are some concerns about being required to stay at that residence because of her worry about the relationship now between her and her mother's boyfriend, things like that. So it's, I think her, but also at the same time, you know, I know Ms. Watkins also does not want to spend any more time in jail. And I obviously have great concern anytime there's a 17-year-old staying in an adult correctional facility. So if it was something where she would be able to sign out of the jail on her own signature, which I think, I mean, based on even my discussion with Miss Crawford, Natasha Crawford in the solicitor's office, I think, you know, we're kind of in a, you know, it's a bit of an oxymoron that we can charge somebody as an adult and then not allow them to act as an adult, signing themselves out of the jail and going and being able to stay on their own. And I get that we're concerned that she's 17 years old. We're concerned that, you know, that she is really a child in a lot of ways. But she has been charged as an adult here, and she's, you know, I think we have to just trust that she would be able to sign herself out of the jail, maybe return to get things from her mother's house with a law enforcement escort, and go and stay with her brother and sister. I have her phone number. Once she gets her phone, she can get into contact with me. Once we get that address, we can update the court exactly on where she's going to be so that mail notices can be sent there and everything. I think that's something we would allow someone a bit older to do with no question. So that's kind of what we're asking for from the court at this point.
Right. I understand, and I will give a little bit more of some admonitions to Miss Watkins. You've put yourself in an adult situation and acted like an adult. So unfortunately, here's where your actions, I hope you have remorse for them and will begin to understand the situation more clearly. I'm certainly not going to order you to go back home. I'm going to order you to stay away from there so that I don't put, either you or your mom as victims in each other's cases in a situation. I'm still going to order you to have a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Okay, so you can sign yourself out. You will have 30 days to return to the court to give us an updated address and phone number. Now, I'm going to assume that your mom pays your cell phone bill, so she may not pay that. So you may need to just, figure out how you get a track phone or a prepaid phone after you get out. You'll probably need to get a job and begin to take care of yourself. But also, I'm going to order that you continue to do your schooling, whether it's virtually or live. I don't know which way you're going to school. I'm going to put that condition on it because you're so close to graduating. I don't want you to drop out and not finish because you've got these other situations going on. I think you have a lot that you can offer and turn it around into the good for you, and eventually mend fences with your family. Maybe get into some counseling and get things together, because in the end, you still need your family, and that is important. But you can, again, I liked you saying I can apologize, and I know it's in the heat of it, and I want you to continue to take that high road and apologize, and try to get things together with your family, because in the end, you will need them. So the $1,000 signature bond through the jail, you have 30 days to return here to court to give us your updated address and phone number so that we will know how and where to reach you for future information. And I guess and mailings, if Mr. Sellers has that, you can obviously provide it as well. But you've put yourself in as an adult, so unfortunately you're gonna have to grow up quickly and act like an adult. But adults are supposedly, most of the time, reasonable, sensible people. So you're going to need to figure that out now that you've put yourself into this situation, even as a 17-year-old. And also make sure that the order says that she must continue to go to school and, graduate and do her schoolwork in the midst of all of this. I will give you a one-time law enforcement escort back to your mom's house to retrieve your personal belongings, get the rest of your clothing and things of that nature. But you are to stay away from 2404 Stone Road and not go back there unless you have law enforcement escort with you. Mr. Sellers can help you with that, and keep in touch with him. And he should be the next person that you call when you get out, so that he will know how to reach you for court. Because if you miss your court date or don't have a way to get it, then you're going to be back here crying again, locked up.
And
for you to appear, okay?
And if the South Annex could look in the chat, I did send you a direct message with all my contact information. If you could give that to Melody.
Okay, we'll do so.
All right, thank you, Ms. Fulton.
All right, is there anything else I need to take up, Ms. Mitchell or Mr. Sellers, with this case?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't mention the no contact or no further violent contact on this case.
Yes. I don't know that I say no contact or no further violent. I know Mom on her case has no further violent contact. And I guess I'll do the same for her, no further violent contact. But I do want her to have a stay away, unlike the mother. Right. Want the daughter to stay away from that location right now and keep us updated as to where she is.
Understood.
All right. All right. We're ready to reconcile in a few seconds. And thank you, Ms. Harrison. And thank you, Ms. Calloway. Good seeing you again.
Yana, we have 2 more cases.
Oh, Lord, I thought we were done. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Same here.
Forgive
Good to
me.
see you, Judge, as well.
Okay.
I'm good. I'll be all right. I'll call you when I get up.
I thought, oh, I do see. We do. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Ms. Jeffries, go ahead. Come on, Ms. Jeffries.
We have
Sit,
position
please.
1, is that right?
Ms. Jeffries is position 7. Jeffries. Sit down, please. Okay. This is position number 7, Your Honor.
Okay, I cannot see her.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there we go. All right, Ms. Jeffries, this is
Jeffrey.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey. 22 CR 0000692A. You're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and a 2nd count of obstruction of a law enforcement officer, both with the offense date of 2/11/22. Pre-trial, what do you have?
There are 2 cycles in Arkansas. Last arrest was April of 2017 for aggravated assault in Arkansas. No disposition was listed on that arrest. Record indicates 1 failure to appear and 2 misdemeanor conviction, 2018 battery in the 3rd degree and a 2016 speeding. Actually, she has an outstanding failure to appear in Arkansas for speeding.
Okay,
She does meet the criteria for UJR, Your Honor. Nothing further.
okay. All right. Mr. Carr?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, so in this case, the defendant was in her car blocking a McDonald's drive-through, and she was there and refusing to leave. Law enforcement showed up and they got the defendant to leave. However, about an hour later, she came back. Police approached her again, and it ended up taking 2 officers to restrain the defendant, and she struggled and fought with these officers as they tried to place her under arrest. Your Honor, just because the defendant does have some, including the battery, the ag assault, just some criminal, violent things on her records, as well as the FTAs, we're asking for the obstruction, $1,000 surety bond, and for the criminal trespass, a $500 surety bond, as well as a stay away from that McDonald's. It's at 1105 North Side Drive Northwest.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sellers?
Yes, Judge. So Miss Jeffrey is 25 years old. She moved to the Atlanta area about a month ago from Arkansas. She is residentially challenged at this point. She doesn't have an address here in Atlanta. That is something that she is working on, trying to currently get a job. She had worked at Lowe's before. She left Arkansas, kind of trying to start a new life, but she does not have a phone or an official residence right now other than her vehicle. She has given me an email address for her, Your Honor, but obviously given all of those facts about her life that I just mentioned, it's obvious that she wouldn't be able to afford any sort of bond. Your Honor, would be asking for a signature bond for Ms. Jeffrey to give her the opportunity to get out of jail, get in touch with myself in our office, either via email or phone once she gets one. And so she can get back to looking for a job and kind of establishing some roots in this community where she wants to end up staying.
Okay. You said she's 25.
Yes, Judge.
She has no other relatives or contacts in Georgia?
She doesn't, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to grant a signature bond through pretrial.
Your Honor, I apologize. She is residentially challenged.
So that changes your,
Correct.
all right. I'm going to order the signature bond through the jail in the amount of $2,000, $1,000 on each charge. And I'm going to order that there be no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order a stay away from the McDonald's, 1105 Northside Drive. Miss Jeffrey, you're not to go back to that McDonald's. And I'm going to order that within 30 days, you report back to the court with your updated address, phone number, how to contact you, where to send notices. Or you get that information to Mr. Sellers and he will provide that to the court or to the clerk's office. Is that okay? Will you be able to do that?
Speak.
I was just making sure you heard what I said.
Mhm.
Will you be able to do that, Ms. Jeffrey? You'll be able to get in touch with me within 30 days?
Yes, sir. The officer, he had took my
That's
phone.
okay, Ms. Jeffrey. You don't need to talk about what happened with the officer or anything. Just if you can answer that. Yeah, you're good. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That should conclude this case.
Next, we have position number 2, Ms. Basayan.
This is case number 22 CR 0000688G. Miss, is it Batzion?
Yes, that's correct.
Sorry to mispronounce your name if I am. You're charged with one count of criminal trespass and the second count of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, both with the offense date of February the 11th, 2022. What do you have pretrial?
Your Honor, GCIC indicates no prior history. She does meet the criteria for pretrial release. Nothing further.
All right.
And yes, Your Honor. In this case, the defendant was at a Dunkin' Donuts where she refused to leave the property. She had been issued a previous criminal trespass warning for this same location. When the police officer tried to place her under arrest, she started walking away quickly. And when the officers caught up, she started fighting with the officers and screaming at them before they were able to restrain her. For this case, we're asking for a split bond for the criminal trespass, $1,000 signature, as well as a stay away from 1590 Holcomb Bridge Road. That's the Dunkin' Donuts. And for the obstruction, a $500 surety bond.
All right, Mr. Sellers.
And Judge, we'd be asking for those to be a signature bond. Currently, Ms. Batzion is residentially challenged right now. She would need a signature bond through the jail. We'd just be asking for a stay away order, obviously, from the Dunkin' Donuts. I think Ms. Batzion knows or does not really want to go back there anyway, given the history there, as that would be a condition of the bond. Your Honor, Ms. Batzion right now doesn't have a phone number to provide to me or the court, but we would ask that she be able to give that to us within the next 30 days. I have given the South Annex all my contact information and spoken with Ms. Batzion about the fact that she will have another court date coming up that she'll need to be present for in some capacity. She is originally from Mississippi, but she's now in the Georgia area, I believe out in Roswell, where she tells me she does have some friends in a community out there who help her from time to time to stay in hotels or to have some roof over her head, but she does not have a stable address at this point, Your Honor. But we'd just be asking, obviously, given that financial situation, for a signature bond so that she can be released from the jail today, to get in touch with our office within the next month.
Okay. All right, I will grant a signature bond through the jail in the amount of $1,500, $1,000 in the criminal trespass, and $500 on the obstruction. I'm going to order a stay away from 1590 Holcomb Bridge Road, which is the Dunkin' Donuts. So Ms. Batzion, please do not go back to the Dunkin' Donuts or else you will be arrested. I'm going to order that there be no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, except for anything that is prescribed to you. And I'm going to ask within 30 days that you get back in touch with Mr. Sellers and/or the clerk of court to give your updated address or location where you may receive mail for the future court notices as well. And we'll just make sure we have a way to contact you. Okay.
Your Honor, is that signature bond through the jail?
Yes.
Okay. Here you go, ma'am.
Okay.
That's the attorney's name, his phone number, and his email address.
Okay, so I don't say it. I noticed they didn't ask me to say anything. So
Listen, you get knocked, sweetheart. You get knocked.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
You're good.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
We'll be in touch, Ms. Batzion. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody, for everything.
All right, thank you.
Maybe be
Good
excused.
Yes, you may. Thank you, dear. Have a good
Thank
week.
you. You too, bye-bye.
Bye, bye-bye. So now should I jump the gun and say we're finished?
Are we gonna go over the calendar?
Yes, ma'am, if you're,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. I was scared to say anything because they say, nope, we got one more.
Okay, position number 1 is a $1,500 sign-on bond through pretrial. Position number 2, $1,500 sign-on bond through the jail. Position number 3, a $4,000 good bond. Position number 4, Position number 3, reset SAP February 24th. Position number 4, a $5,000 good bond, reset SAP February 24th. Position number 5, a $3,000 good bond, reset SAP February 24th. Position number 6 is reset for February 14th, next SCA calendar. Position number 7 is a $2,000 sign-on bond through the jail, reset further notice. Position number 8 is a $1,000 sign-on bond through the jail, reset further notice. Position number 9 is a $2,000 good bond, reset SAP February 24th. Position number 10 is a $3,000 sign-on bond through pretrial, reset further notice. Position 11 is a $5,000 good bond, reset SAP February 24th. Position 12 is a $1,000 sign-on bond through the jail, reset further notice. Position 13 is a $3,000 sign-on bond through pretrial, reset further notice. Position 14, reset February 14th to the next SCA calendar.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that will do it, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. And happy Valentine's to everyone.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.